Whether we like it or not, we are like a set of algorithms. You're probably aware from the age of 0 through to 7, 99% of everything that you think, feel, do, intend, how you react, how you behave, it's set into a blueprint that is stuck with you for the rest of your life. From the age of 7 or 8 up to the age of 18, there is a small window of opportunity to start shifting that. But if you're past the age of 18, it's really challenging. Does that mean there are chances you can change, you can evolve? 100% absolutely true. But here's the thing, 98% of all your thinking and behavior and feeling is driven by subconscious programming, 70% of which is fear-based, survival-based. Your subconscious mind wants to keep you safe, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that, especially if you've got saber-toothed tigers chasing after you. But besides the fact that saber-toothed tigers don't exist, we still operate in the modern world from that space of fear and survival. Now, if 98% of all that you do is subconsciously driven, then what about the 2%? That 2% are the things that you think, feel, do on a day-to-day basis in a conscious kind of a way. Think about it. Every single day you wake up, what side of the bed do you normally wake up in? How do you brush your teeth? Is it with your right hand or your left hand? You usually do the same thing. What kind of foods do you prefer? What kind of drinks do you prefer first thing in the morning, last thing at night? We have a set of programmings that we cannot help but repeat again and again. In this episode of Harun Rabbani podcast, I'm going to share with you a very powerful way to expand that 2% to a 3%. Now, if you're a leader, you're an aspirational leader, you want to be at the top of your game. If you're a teacher or part of the SLT team, this episode is just for you. If you're somebody who aspires to take ownership of your own life so that you can help others, in other words, if you're a leader and you want to inspire others, we're going to have to start off with you. So whether you're new to the world of leadership, whether you're deep into your career and you manage other people, particularly young people, or whether you're a veteran leader, this episode is going to help you. My name is Harun Rabbani. I've been in the business of helping people transform their lives. I'll be honest with you, for most of my life, since 1986, I started off with martial arts and then in sports and sports psychology and then in career and business. And not only have I helped others, thousands of them, but I've also helped myself to become top of my game in several different fields. Now, earlier today, I was speaking at a teachers conference and I'm blown away at how enthusiastic they are about making a difference to the lives of the young people. However, one of the things I had to reiterate is put the oxygen mask on yourself first before you try to put it on anybody else. Now, you've heard of the term affirmations, right? Say a phrase and it will help you change. Yes and no. Affirmations work because they trigger the negative aspects of your programming. So if you tell yourself, I'm so clumsy, yeah, it's an affirmation, and your subconscious mind goes, yeah, I know that. Because remember, 70% of your subconscious is driven by fear and survival. So it actually will accept that. If you say things like, I'm always late, yes, you're going to be late. I'm too fat, I'm too thin. Any of those things your subconscious mind will get. However, if you want to change in a positive context, affirmations don't work. Imagine this. You keep telling yourself, I'm confident, I'm confident, I'm confident. Does that build your confidence? I'm so clever, I'm so clever. No. If you want to help program your subconscious mind, you've got to talk in the language of your subconscious mind. And guess what that is? Questions. A good friend of mine, Nicholas Haynes, who I've put a link to here, first introduced me to the idea of asking conscious questions. In this episode, we're going to focus as if you're a teacher, but whatever field you're in, this can be still applied and tweaked for yourself. Now, when you ask your subconscious mind questions with the right kind of tonality, guess what it does? It starts seeking out answers. It's a bit like going onto Google or Bing and typing in questions. It will come up with a whole series of answers. And this is what we want to do in a positive way. So let's focus on your particular talent. As a teacher, whether you're just teaching students or you're leading entire teams of teachers, sometimes you may have self-doubt about your abilities. And you know what? No one's expecting you to know everything, be a jack of all trades. So instead of self-doubting yourself, you might ask the question, why am I so talented? And your subconscious mind will try to find all the different reasons why you are talented. Or you might tweak the question and ask something like, how is it that I'm so talented? Or how am I so talented? And it might look for different ways that you demonstrate talent, or it may give you reasons for why you're talented. Instead of saying, I am absolutely rubbish at this, you might say, why am I so good at this? And by the way, even if you're not performing well in whatever that this is, ask your subconscious mind, why am I so good at this? Because if, for example, you had a test, an examination to take right now, and you told yourself, oh my God, I'm not good at this. Remember, negative affirmation, it will find the blockages to prove. Your subconscious mind will try to prove that you're not good at it. Instead, you ask, why am I so good at this? As a teacher, you're going to have to juggle so many balls and constantly dealing with conflict and chaos. Of course, that's the nature of the game. And sometimes it's very easy to experience burnout and feel like you're just not good enough. So instead of saying, I'm not good enough, oh, I can't handle it, you might ask your subconscious mind, why can I handle this with ease? How is it that this is so easy for me to handle? When you're feeling down or you're feeling weak or unable to do stuff, you might ask your subconscious mind, why am I so strong? Or why am I so strong? Tonality matters. If you've got a plan and you're trying to move forward in some direction but you feel stuck, you might ask yourself, why am I so flexible, strong and adaptable? Often you're given tasks that maybe you don't have clarity in, or you've got so much going on all at the same time. You might ask yourself, instead of telling yourself how confused you are, you might say to yourself, why is it okay for me not to know everything? Or you might make it a bit more exciting and say, why is it fun not to know everything? Or you might even say, why will things be revealed to me in due course? Being a teacher in itself is rewarding, but in many respects it feels like you're not being recognized. But instead of waiting for other people to give you validation, you might ask yourself or say to yourself, why am I so precious? Why am I so important to these students? Why am I such an important part of this teaching team? Sometimes we get stressed by stuff and we get caught up in stuff and we do not want to let go. Holding on to stuff will only drain your energy. So how do you deal with it? You ask yourself a question like, why is the past and now is now? You may have done stuff in the past that maybe you regretted, or you thought, I've made a mistake, I shouldn't have done that. Maybe instead of beating yourself up, you might want to say to yourself, why is it unfair of me to beat an older version of myself? Sometimes when you're a leader or an aspirational leader, you may get drawn towards perfectionism, wanting to get everything right. And so what do? You start criticizing yourself because of those little things not going your way. You might ask yourself, why is it important to remember that perfectionism is in the eye of the beholder? Probably 80% of all people think they're not good enough. Instead of telling yourself you're not good enough, you may ask, why is it important to remember that as a perfectionist, I will always be good enough? If you're somebody who procrastinates for whatever reason, you might want to ask yourself a question like, why is it important when something gets done? Why is it so wonderful when something gets done? If you are a leader, no matter how much you're experienced, occasionally, in fact very often, you will experience fear and anxiety. So a good question to ask yourself is, why is it normal for all good or great leaders to be scared at times? Another question might be, why is it important for me to admit when I'm wrong and just move on? If you're a teacher, there are so many more questions I've got laid out for you. And if you'd like a copy of the download of the questions, then make sure you just either email me or respond to the email that I've already sent you. Of course, if I haven't spoken to your school as yet, get in touch with me and then we can make arrangements. Here's a few additional tips that might be useful for you when you're doing conscious questioning of yourself. First of all, when you ask yourself questions, your subconscious mind will go and look for the answer, but it may not give it to you straight away. So why would you want to ask yourself questions if you don't get answers straight away? Well, first of all, would you rather criticize yourself or lift yourself up? And I'm talking about the criticism. That's not called feedback. That's called lowering your self-worth. So it's far better to do it now. Now, the answers that will come to you may come minutes later, hours later, or even days later. So don't worry about trying to get the answers. Those answers will come up in due course whenever you are ready. But the key thing is moving away from negative thinking, putting yourself down, eroding your self-worth and self-esteem, and start opening yourself up for positive options and opportunities and possibilities. As a teacher, I know you want to make a big difference to the people, to the planet, but particularly the students that you are working with. But the best way to do it is actually by osmosis, is to work on yourself first. If you have any questions, make sure you comment below and I will do my best to respond to you. Thanks for watching and see you next time on the Harun Rabbani podcast.